think I'm next. Hello, everyone. I'm Franz Viljoen, here in Pretoria at the Center for Human Rights and Implementing a member. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tal Gori. I'm from Mali, working in Burundi, and we just got our announcement that we'll be joining as an ordinary member. So we are happy to be here.
Suzanne.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Apologies, I was not anticipating the camera suggestions. I'm in a place of a bit poor lighting. Let me just try nevertheless. Yeah. Hi, everyone. So my name is Suzanne Mathani. I work with IPAS Africa Alliance, and we are looking to be members of CIAC. It's good to see a couple of old friends from the movement. So thank you for having us.
Okay, I think that is everyone except for Unam. Oh, sorry, Japhet. Did I skip you? I'm sorry.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Japhet Biegon, Amnesty International, based in Nairobi, an implementing member.
Hi, everyone. And, my name is Unam Zababa. I'm from Digital Girl Africa. I'm a writer there. Nice to meet all of you.
Right, thank you. So thank you everyone for the introduction. I think now we have a sense.
Sorry, Marie. I believe Ilse is trying to talk, but we cannot hear you. Okay.
Yes. Isla, can you go ahead?
No, she cannot. I mean, there is a problem. You can chat, perhaps. You can chat.
We can. Yeah. Yes. Okay, your voice. Yeah, we can't hear you. Okay. Maybe you could try exiting and rejoining again.
Yeah, you can type.
Okay, so I will. Yeah. All right, so I will just, so we have set a maximum of 2 hours for this meeting, and I have no intention of going beyond the 2 hours. So for the non-members, I had said at the beginning that these meetings happen quarterly, and as part of the ACHPR side event 2020, this particular meeting is open to non-members, and also it's the first time that all members are meeting, both the implementing category and the ordinary membership category. So basically, it's just to provide, progress of how the work has been unfolding, and also to exchange ideas so that we can collectively move forward. Okay, so I had shared, so please feel free to interrupt me because I'm sharing my screen, so I cannot see the videos. Yeah, so if anyone has anything to say or interject, just kindly do so. So I shared the agenda with the members and I did not receive any feedback. So is it okay to adopt the agenda as is? Yes, I think the silence means yes. Okay, so yeah, so I think we have had from Starugori, and since the CIAC started, we had 9 founding members, and now we are at
the reality for young people in Nigeria in
Fernando, Stefano, please help me mute the people who are talking.
Don't worry. I'm taking care of that.
Yes, okay, thanks, yeah. Okay, yeah. So with the current membership stands at 14 members, And then newly acquired members, Ethan, Barbara is on the line. ICA, I don't think I had somebody from ICA on the line, Molly, and Dula Omar Institute and AU Watch. I think the representative may join us a bit later. So in terms of ordinary membership, we have 3 members. That's Ethan, Ika, and Molly, and then the other members, implementing members. I will share the link to our website where you can have a snapshot of all the members. Okay, so in the last meeting, so the work of the CIAC has 3 strategic pillars. I think I should start from there. And I will start with strategic pillar 3. Pillar 3 is around state engagement. And under this pillar, what the CIAC attempts to do is to build a caucus of friendly states who are allies, and also raise awareness about the tactics that hostile states use in terms of undermining accountability mechanisms. So in the last meeting that we had mapped out members' perception of, which states are felt to be friendly and what states are felt to be hostile. And given the discussions that we had, it was felt that it is necessary to come up with some sort of tool that members can utilize in terms of doing a rapid assessment on who the friendly states and hostile states are. So with Stefano, Stefano and Mita, we had a meeting and sort of, brainstormed on what is the best way to go about it. And we developed So we came up with this simple rapid assessment tool. And this tool is borrowed from Freedom House indicators, although I have simplified the Freedom House indicators to suit our context. And in the end, what is anticipated is that we are able to map out states as green, being friendly states, amber, states which you cannot tell outrightly whether friendly or hostile, and then hostile states. So in the end, we are going to get a weighted average score, and then the score is the one which is going to tell us whether, whether the state is green, red, or amber. And I will share this tool with all the members, but for now, because of time, I'll just quickly skim through. So the first part is just basically, what country are we evaluating and what's the knowledge we have about that country. And the first part are indicators at the national context around different sets of rights. So there's political rights, there's political participation, and there's functioning of government, freedom of expression and belief, associational rights, rule of law, individual autonomy. And then I wanted to spend a bit more time here with the regional position, since our work is focused at regional mechanism. I mean, at the regional level, in as much as we do recognize that there's a issue linkage with what happens at the national level and how the state will behave at the regional and international levels. So for the at the regional level position, so the first question which we ask is whether the state is complying with the obligation to submit country reports to the African Commission. And then so the rating, there's strongly disagree, strongly disagree, it's supposed to be neutral, agree, and strongly agree. Okay, this is an error here. Let me just change that quickly. And then the last column here is where we provide evidence. So the sort of evidence that you're looking for, this can be reports or media reports or organizational reports that are available out there to sort of support the perception that the respondent has in terms of the specific indicator which is being asked. And then the second question of the regional mechanism, the regional position, is whether the state complies with treaty body reports submitted to the African Commission. And then the third looks at state cooperation with special mechanism holders and country rapporteurs. And then the fourth indicator looks at, does the state respond positively to complaints? Do they cooperate with the complaints procedure for complaints filed at the African Commission? So do they cooperate in terms of, when responses are asked for them, do they cooperate in terms? And then the fifth one looks at whether the state implements concluding observations and recommendations from the special mechanism holders or country rapporteurs. And then the sixth one looks at whether remedy is provided to victims of violations based upon the decisions of the African Commission. And then the seventh one is whether the state is amenable to CSO participation at the regional level. And with this specific indicator, we were looking at the happenings which have occurred in different countries. For example, in Egypt, where local CSOs are not allowed to participate.
Studies around the young people who actually decide to stay.
And then the last one is the track record that the state has in ensuring the independence of the African Commission. So, and the international position does not have many indicators, we just only put 5 indicators. And this pertain to the UPR process and, to what extent that the states accept the recommendations made, and also do they comply with treaty body reporting, and do they implement the concluding observations, and do they cooperate with the UN special mechanism holders. So at this point, we were just introducing the tool, and we haven't necessarily finalized it. So the rating is not finalized. For example, if you look at the Freedom House scoring, they have different scoring for different rights. Political and civil rights gets a higher score than other rights. So, and since theirs is a much more elaborate way of scoring, and so we felt that before we can put in more work into the tool, just to hear from members, if we think that this tool is something which we can use, and if it's going to serve our purpose, as opposed to what we have been doing in the past, where we would meet in meetings, when we have the meetings, when we are doing the mapping out of states. Because in the end, we are also, beyond the mapping out of state, is also we need to collect relevant information that pertains to the states. So we'll stop there. I invite Stefano if you have anything else to add, since we are working together with you on this one, and then we can open it up to comments.
Thank you, Marie. Yeah, maybe just a couple of things. Yeah, I mean, initially we started with something that was kind of like small, and it became a little more, it's still simple, but it's more elaborate than what initially we had envisioned. And again, I mean, we haven't, we have not tested it. So there is also still a moment in which we want to test whether it's going to work, maybe with states that we sort of like kind of know already. So just to make sure that actually it works, because there may be some correction to be brought to the scoring. And then I would only say that there are two. I mean, in the last meeting we were talking about two potential ways of using it. One is the possibility of using it for the states that we need to know a little better. Because obviously, I mean, I don't think that there is. We have already very clear what on some states where the position is and where it isn't, or perhaps if it's something that people think it's useful or interesting. And again, I mean, we may want to develop a little bit more the part on the regional system. We can also sort of like make a sort of, I don't know, maybe an annual assessment or something like that as part of the CIAC effort to sort of like publish. So it can become something that becomes, it may be something that becomes a little bigger within the CIAC work, or something that we use to target specific countries and see what is needed. That's what I would add, and really, like, it depends on what people will think and how effective it is. Thank you, Maria.
Okay, I think we can just get feedback from. I'm sorry, I realized that I was not sharing my screen, but can you confirm that you can see it now?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I think we can spend a few minutes, about say 5 minutes, just to hear back from, from members or anybody else. Stefano, please help me moderate, because when I'm sharing my screen, I can't see participants.
Yeah, I mean, right now nobody is asking to speak, so feel free to raise your hand. Okay, Donald, please go ahead. Yeah, you're not able, Marie, to see probably. Okay, so I'm going to.
No, I was just going to say that thank you very much to the two of you for that. Of course, developing a tool of this nature, especially at the beginning, is always a work in progress. So yeah, we may not necessarily get it perfect and customized to the African context at the beginning in terms of how our states behave, but over time, I think we'll refine it as we go along. So I think the important thing is just to start, and then some of the parameters we may refine as we go along. Thank you.
Hi. Hello. Yes. Can you hear me?
Hi, Sibo. Yes, we can hear you.
Look, I kind of looked through the tool when I saw it, but very briefly. And my concern was about the tool's ability to help us meet the objectives of Pillar 3. It read more like a new kind of process, just in trying to find out what's the position of various states, on human rights. And my concern when we start doing things like this is often around kind of scope creep, so that we are expanding ourselves. Our objective is a very narrow one, which is about trying to develop a pool of friendly states. So basically to have people who can stand up to member states, or have, kind of friendly states who can actually stand up to member states and defend accountability mechanisms. So that's what we are trying, to do, with this pillar. And so it's not like a kind of index or report that we are. It's like, can we get this person, can we get this country, to be the one in the PRC, that actually says, no, and these are the things, you know, that are being done. So I see the questions, but I am unsure about how closer, you know, they take us to that process, because unfortunately, this is one of the hardest pillars of the work, and it's not work that's going to be done publicly. And so part of the idea, it's really the mapping, you know, who are the states that we are talking to? Because in the past couple of years, one of the things were just the unreliability of people. I remember there was a time we had conversation with the Attorney General of the Gambia. We sent the CIAC, the analysis. And when they met with other people, it was like always a new conversation. So they would change, you know, and all of those things. And I think those are the things that we should be mapping, kind of tracking, like who is there, you know, what's the relationship between whether it's someone from the capital, you know, from, people who are like Department of Foreign Affairs or International Relations, and all of that, because this is a useful tool. I'm not taking away from that, but I'm just not sure if it takes us to the objective. And my view has always been to rather have fewer objectives or like activities that are targeted. You know, you can see the link from A to B, than have more that are kind of broad in scope, but it's very hard to see how this activity leads us to this kind of objective. So that's my kind of broader comment, that if we were to do something about this, our mapping, it's about whether in this year we can identify 3 or 5 countries and representatives that we can say we are very sure that this country is actually going to be able to do this work that we want them to do. Thank you.
Franz?
Hello, yes. I think I'm with the concerns raised by Sibongile. I think it's a good tool and it serves a particular purpose, but does it, you know, help us to, we've tentatively identified states, let's say like Namibia, because of a particular person, or, you know, Mauritius because of a certain, you know, sense of how people have reacted to Resolution 1015 and so on. If I look at the criteria, you know, and we look just, for example, at states that are regular in reporting, I just jumped to the website, and, you know, 2 states that stand out there are Cameroon and Zimbabwe. They are very regular reporters. I know Cameroon has been very good at implementing decisions. Uganda has been quite good. You know, so many states play the formal game, and they'll come good, you know, in terms of many or some of these parameters, but it will not bring us closer to what we really try to achieve. So you know, if we want to do this, I think it may serve a different purpose. So just to, I think, support what Sibongile's concern is.
Okay, so in our thinking with Stefano when we were doing this, so it was to serve multiple purposes. I mean, yes, there's, I concur with the sentiments raised by Sibo and Franz in terms of how do we get closer to the, you know, to the people that we want. So we are still applying a multiple approach. It's not a unilateral approach, yeah? Because part of the pillar 3 is also to obtain information on tactics that are used by hostile states. So that's why we felt, you know, to get there, then we need to have some sort of tool that can help us collect the data. Yeah, although we are not discrediting the approach that we have by going to, you know, by approaching different people or different partners to help us get to the Addis-based representatives. So this is just, you know, the long term, you know, like what we are, and it's next in our agenda. in terms of the process that we had gone through trying to obtain data on Egypt, then how could we do that, ahead of time, sort of just start collecting this data as we go through the cycle of the CIAC work. Stefano, I don't know if you have anything to add or anything, or anyone else.
I cannot raise my hand as host. I cannot raise my hand. No, I also, I mean, the concern that Sibongile and France have raised, it's something that we discussed, and in fact, this is a version that it's evolving. We haven't tried it, so the question is really like, what, because I mean, that was exactly like what France highlighted is exactly some of the concerns that we also discussed. I agree with Sibongile. And perhaps we may want to eliminate the question. So eliminate a number of categories. The question is. So the reason why we sort of like looked at other sort of indicators is, let's assume that we want to engage or we want to assess a country that is not, let's say, Cape Verde, or like a country that is not participating to the space and that we do not know very well. What would be? I mean, maybe there is nothing under the regional position that we can say, but there may be other indicators that would point out to the fact that the country might be approachable. So that because again, I mean, the idea, unless we decide to do something different, is not to use it with to use this with Egypt or South Africa, unless we want to try it to make sure that it's working. There is a component of which is important. Sibongile, you were talking about, for instance, the context, so like a more relational part that was not thought about. I mean, and really, I mean, the question is that there may not be something that works. I mean, so we try to do something that could possibly work more generally, and this is work in progress. So there may be, I mean, in the last conversation we had 2 days ago, there are many things that may be contradictory or may look critical and may not bring us to the point. So that's something that needs to be said. The question is, yeah, I mean, there may be other elements, and here I agree. Like, for instance, how well we are connected, so more like relational. That definitely could be, and I can see that the part on the regional position to expand and the other to contract. Again, it's work in progress. The question is whether this can be, and some general indicators for countries that we may think to approach, but really we need to look at parameters of broader parameters to be able to approach them. Yeah, so that's a little bit of the I believe that when we started doing this, Sibongile, you were mentioning, at the end we wouldn't use this for friendly states, but really like for states that we are not too aware, if I understood correctly, or less friendly state. Like it's really like for the gray area, neither for the Egypts nor for the South Africas that we want to engage. And again, I mean, it's pretty much work in progress. So any feedback is really useful to expand, contract, change significantly. Thank you.
Stefano, I don't, can you let me know if there's anyone else who would like to go so that we can move to the next agenda item, conclude this one?
Not now.
Okay, so so the purpose of having this conversation was for us to introduce the tool and then just get a sense of whether, you know, is it something that we want to consider, or should we just completely abandon it?
Maybe, I don't know, but I don't know if it's a question that people can say either or. Maybe it's still something that we need to evolve. That's my my suggestion. So maybe we should get maybe feedback on which direction we may want to go. I think Dieudonne wants to speak.
Thank you, Stefano. Yes, I want first of all to congratulate you for this for the suggestion, the scoring card. I was just wondering, is it possible to narrow it down? From the beginning, I didn't see many suggestions, but I just discovered. I was thinking, because we are talking about independence of the commission, we can have as a ground state which respect the working of the commission itself. So such indication like indicator like those countries which allow the commissioners to undertake missions, because from experience, you know, commissioners require invitation to be invited before going. They don't go by their own, and most of the time they are refused that invitation. And cooperating, giving a commissioner invitation shows a level of acknowledgement of the work of the commission, meaning in kind of respecting the independence of the commission. So one of the indicator I wanted to add, because I haven't yet seen it here.
Okay, I've made a note of that. So the sense that I'm getting is that it needs to be refined. So we go ahead, but we need to refine it with the different suggestions that are coming through. And I'll also share it on email so that you have, so you can interact with it more meaningfully and give more suggestions. Is that what I'm hearing? That we can continue with the tool, only that it needs to be designed differently, given the discussions that have happened.
For me, I think we can keep the tool, but improve it from this discussion and learning from taking on board all the suggestions other colleagues will make.
Francis saying more narrowing down than refining.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So.
I think we need to make a decision about which part of the strategy this is supporting, and it may be supporting multiple, but so I agree with the kind of narrowing and refocusing, because when we are clear about what we are trying to achieve with the tool, you know, then that's what's going to lead to the narrowing. So if we are saying this is something for just to be able to see kind of compliance or whatever, is this because we think these are hostile states or because we think these are friendly states? Like, where is this taking us? You know, these trying to understand how the states behave, right? So that's the question that we need to be able to answer with this tool as we develop it. Because if we are saying we are doing a scorecard, and this scorecard, when it has been refined, it should be able to give us, for me, it's just about the cost-benefit analysis. If we are going to do this, we have to be clear about the countries that we are looking at. I'm just not sure if we have the capacity right now to look at all AU member states and assess them, you know, with this kind of scorecard. There is an organization that we can contact that produces this kind of score, and it focuses on accountability. Initially, it was on accountability around HIV and AIDS, but they have broadened their scope to look at accountability more broadly. And I can see them kind of working with us if we want to make it a bigger process. And so, Marie, what I can do is I can introduce you to Philippa and then see if this is, they do scorecards, they produce them on a whole range of issues on the continent, just to see how other people are doing that work. I'm just not sure if CIAC, right now, the current composition of the members, this is something that we have time, resources, you know, like to be able to do a scorecard for all of them. It feels like a deviation from what we are trying to do. So I agree that it may be useful and it can be, but I still don't know, and maybe when it has been reformulated, how closer it takes us to the friendly states. Because when we started out, and I think I have the burden of institutional memory, the position around hostile states was that we were going to spend our efforts on Egypt, right? Although there were others that we would identify, you know, like Tanzania, Rwanda, or Zimbabwe sometimes. And then incrementally, but we were not going to say these are the good guys or these are the bad guys. Like, we were just going to shine a spotlight on one and do it in ways which are extremely, extremely visible, you know, and that was the way. So if this is about hostile, it's like, that's not how we had kind of talked about how we were going to get to the hostile ones, because we were going to look at their role, the PRC, because that's what we thought was the most destructive, you know, space that they were engaging in or could engage in. So it's, yeah, so those are the things. It's like, it's fine. I'm questioning that I'm saying it's fine that we retain it. I'm questioning our kind of the cost benefit analysis, our own ability to do this. I think it was something that was being done with Synergia. So if Synergia is open to working with accountability, international, but that's like a Synergia thing as an implementing member. And then also to be able to answer those questions around which part of the strategy is being advanced and how is it being advanced.
Yeah, maybe I can just say that no, that's not is not our project. It's either useful for this work, or it's not. I mean, the point. I mean, and the reason. I mean, it's not meant to be run on 55 states, because I believe that was clear. I believe we are on the same page on that. but really like mostly, again, in the understanding of the meeting when we decided to start working on this, really on states that are on uncertain ground to look at possible allies. So that should be the scope, and that should be like anything should be narrowed, reframed, or whatever towards that. That's anything else. It can be a project for, but it's certainly not ours. Yeah.
Mary, can I intervene, please?
Yes. How many interventions we have? I'm worried about time. Stefano, from your end, how many interventions do we have? And
I don't see any. I mean, if people want to raise their hand use the raising option, because right now I don't see anybody.
My hands are raised, and this is Faye.
Okay. We can have Faye go, and then we can conclude this agenda item.
Okay.
Yes, Faye.
No. Can I go ahead, Marie? Is it okay?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, thanks a lot. And by the way, congratulations for the session. I wanted to make a comment on what Simogele was just saying. You know, as a matter of fact, when we started a conversation with AU Watch about setting up AU Watch, myself, even Dr. Eno and Shafi Bakari, and even the chairperson right now of AU Watch in Nyanduga, one of the things which AU Watch is supposed to be doing is actually conducting a mapping exercise of trying to understand what type of states make up the African Union, and who they are, who are the enemies, so to speak, for want of a better word, and who are the friends of the Commission. Yeah, and when you look, I mean, with my experience, when you look at what is happening at the Commission presently, I discovered with my time, I mean, spending over 10 years with them, I discovered that there are certain states that have an intimate interest and knowledge about the Commission and the court. And when you look, I can name you states like Egypt, like Libya. Most of us know them anyway. As a matter of fact, all of us know that Libya under Gaddafi by then, and Algeria, we are so particularly interested in what they wanted to know, the inner workings. They wanted to know everything that is going on in the Commission. They planted somebody in the Commission. The person is still there, paid by the state of Algeria. So you do have states that are very interested in the workings of the many of the organs of the African Union, and they go to a large extent to ensure that they are present in all the conversations and discussion, whether it's even at the level of the Rex, whether it's the Commission, the courts, the Committee of Children, whatever. And unfortunately, again, you do have states, say Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, my own country, Sierra Leone. I mean, some of these countries have absolutely no idea what the Commission is doing, and because there's so much changes within the ministries of those countries. Today they will send somebody to the Commission meetings or to something, and the next time you go, the file is missing. They don't even know what the Commission is. So you do have states that have an interest in knowing what the Commission is doing, and they ensure that they follow the work of the Commission because they don't want to be criticized because of the type of things they do to their citizens in their country. Egypt is a good example. Algeria, Libya, many of the states in North Africa. And but going back to what Simogele was saying, that is exactly what we need. In fact, in terms of the whole idea of AU Watch is making sure and trying to hold these countries on the AU itself accountable to the standards they have set for themselves. And some of these benchmark standards, of course, is the Constitutive Act and, of course, the African Charter, for example. So one of the things which AU Watch will be doing is actually engaging in a mapping exercise in trying to say who are the friendly states for the Commission and who are, so to speak, who are the enemy states or who are the less friendly states. Yeah, so, and when we are, I mean, because of the corona and pandemic and lack of funding, but we do have within our membership the expertise where there is funding. We do have within us the expertise to make sure that we organize in the mapping exercise which Simogele is saying. And I think it's okay if one wants to go outside the framework which we have now, but we are supposed to have within our own structure as well, where there is funding, to do such a thing. It shouldn't be very difficult, actually, because one of the things, we have institutional memory amongst us, and we understand how to conduct such research. So if, for example, this is something we want to do and there is funding, it should be feasible, it should be doable. Thank you.
Okay. I think Stefano will reconvene and we will loop in Faye into our next conversation. Sounds good? As we look on how to go forward, I mean, the best way to go forward, since now we have multiple suggestions. Yeah. Okay. Guys, thank you for that engaging conversation. I think, as I've mentioned, we'll reconvene, we'll loop in AU Watch, we'll check the suggestion made by SIBO, and if there are any other suggestions which are out there, if have not been presented here, they can be shared on email. We'll be happy to check that out. Okay, so with that, I would like to go to the next agenda item. Can you see my screen? Okay, so the next agenda item, and we had already started this conversation, SIBO had mentioned the fact that we are putting a spotlight on Egypt. And I had been speaking to a few friends based in the continent and also outside of the continent to see if they can help us to get some data, which is going to help us to build a repository of information on Egypt. So Egypt is the first case study that we are doing in terms of putting a spotlight on the tactics that they use to undermine regional accountability mechanisms. And so far, in the last meeting, there had been some commitments from Sinagia and Palu in terms of helping to reach out to other partners to obtain information. I reached out to SRI and CFJ and AWID, Human Rights Watch, and the Law Society of England, Evelyn and Dawn, just to say that we had a meeting and they were able to share some of the reports of the work that they have done around Egypt. So, I don't know, Stefano, we can start with you. And you are going to reach out to the, I think it's the Foreign Ministry of the Italian government. I don't know if there's been any progress around that.
I'm in conversation. I actually had a meeting last week, so I'm trying to find out the right contact. That's what I can share. Yeah.
Okay, and also if there's anyone who is present and they have done some work that can help us get the information that you're looking around Egypt. So what we are looking, the objectives, so first we want to know, what are the tactics that Egypt utilizes to undermine accountability mechanisms, both at the AU and UN levels. And who are the allies that support Egypt's position, and also what issue areas are Egypt reacting to. So if there's anyone on the call who can, a non-member probably, who can help us around this front. Stefano, I can't see, so are there any hands?
No, I'll let you know when there is any.
Okay, all right. So it's just to say that the end goal of all of this data is to publish a report, as SIBO had mentioned. And so I intend to start drafting this quarter, sometime in October, and hopefully we can have it ready before the end of the year. So the data collection is ongoing, and some of the people that I had spoken to had not necessarily, especially the activists who are based in Egypt, had not necessarily documented some of this information that we are looking for, although they were willing to have conversations and being aware of the safety and security. So we sort of had an agreement that, it's going to be collective voices as opposed to individual voices being documented in the report. Okay, any reactions or questions before I move to the next agenda item? Okay, it's quiet, so I will go. So still under strategic pillar 3 on state engagements, we are also looking to map out friendly states, and Sibo had mentioned why we're looking to map out these friendly states. So we are looking to have Addis-based state representatives, those who sit in the PRC or the Executive Council, to be able to speak out on in defense of accountability mechanisms. So we had reached out to ISHR, and they help us to obtain some of the Geneva-based diplomats. So the Geneva-based diplomats, in our writing to them, is to have them connect us with their counterparts based in Addis Ababa or back in the capitals. So this is the long way of doing things. Although if we have direct contacts in Addis or back in the capitals, that's the best way to go. So the countries that you see on the screen are the ones that members had identified as some of the potentially friendly states that we can approach. Why we are starting with the UN is because it's easier to sort of identify based upon the voting patterns who the AU member states are, who are approachable at that level. So we have Geneva-based contacts of diplomats based in Mauritius, Malawi, Ghana, Botswana, South Africa, and Senegal. What we don't have are diplomats based in Zambia, Burkina Faso, Mali, Benin, the Gambia, and Cape Verde. And France, you're reaching out to state representatives, the Namibia and Mauritius. Are you able to provide us an update on how that is going? And
yeah, well,
also,
sorry. We are in process. Yeah, those were, an approach has been made, but I can't really report anything. But certainly that is something that we will be devoting ourselves to ongoingly. I think it also relates to the kind of letter, comprehensive of formulated that you can maybe also speak to. And, that I think I would just like to understand where we are in terms of that process going forward. Thanks.
Yeah. Yes. So for the people who are present, is there anyone based upon the list that we have on the screen? Do you have contacts, or whether directly or indirectly, for some of the states that we are looking to reach out to as the CIAC? Okay, it's quite so talking about. Okay, my connection is stable. Okay, all right. So we had a meeting on August 25th, and let me see if I can put it. So in this meeting, so the idea for this meeting was to strategize on how Isla Amsha and the Center for Human Rights can reach out to DICO, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, to see if we can have South Africa on board as a leading state around the allyship that you're trying to build. And in that meeting, we were able to identify other organizations that can be helpful or can be useful or interested in the dialogue with DICO. And there was Salo and the the Deputy Minister, the Department of Justice. Did I get that correct, Franz? And also in that meeting, yes. Okay, we were able to develop, let me just pull it up quickly. So we were able to come up with some of the key points, when we ask people to speak out, exactly what are we asking them to do? And we drafted, a zero draft letter that, so I'll just go quickly to the points which we felt that, if we are asking state representatives to speak out, exactly what areas, when they're making interventions, what are they looking to address? And the first was, the need to speak around, affirming the independence of the African Commission as an autonomous quasi-judicial body for promoting and protecting human rights in Africa. And also the need to speak to ensuring there's better access for individuals and NGOs who wish to bring violations on their Banjul Charter to the African Commission. And also the need to speak around, having states that have been found guilty of human rights violations to desist from using the AU organs as avenues for their retaliation. And also the need to be more vigilant around nominating individuals and careful scrutiny on who gets elected as officials to autonomous regional bodies. And the last message was around affirming the African Unions as the people's organs, as enshrined in the Constitutive Act. So this is just it's still a work in progress, because as we had discussions, we found that there's a need to also update the development that have happened around this year 2015 in terms of, what has the African Commission done so far in terms to implement it. So, there's public knowledge of the 2020 ROPs, although it was raised in the meeting that there could have been other developments which may not have been publicized. So this is, it's ready for circulation except for this paragraph here, which we felt that we need to commission some work so that we're able to get a holistic picture of what has been done to implement the decision 1015, so that we are also able to update our advocacy messaging, so that it doesn't appear that we're still stuck in the past. So the way this is designed, it's targeted to go out to a final recipient who will be a member of a state representative within the PRC or the Executive Council. However, it's open for modification to utilize if you're making first contact with a state representative that that you feel can lead us to our target, to our ally, basically. Yeah. So I haven't circulated this with all the members yet, because I had wanted to see if we can do, to see what else needs to go in there, because I think we are all aware that when it comes to government, we need to provide as much information as possible. So what is there, like I said, is the end goal, but it needs to be refined a little bit more, such that we have different, so the wording is different for different entities. For example, if I'm writing to the Geneva-based diplomats, I will borrow some of the language there, but not all of it. because the Geneva-based diplomats has to be very, very clear as to what the end goal is so that they don't just see the initial communication and then shut out. Okay, I will stop there. Yeah, so I think for France, I'm not sure if Barry is on the line, but in the meeting we had talked about reaching out to some of the people that we had identified. I'm not sure if there has been any progress since our last meeting.
I'm sure it's not on the line as far as I know.
Okay. No, I don't think that we can report. Just to take one point that you made, Marie, in a sense, looking at decision 1015 and also at the new 2020 rules of the Commission, to at least kind of that's the point, I suppose, just to trace to what extent had some of these issues been resisted or been accommodated, so that one evolves the kind of argument over time, and it doesn't stay the same exact argument as it was a year and a half ago. And that's the idea there. But otherwise, unfortunately, we haven't really moved ahead. Thanks.
Okay, so with that, I would like to move to the next strategic pillar, which is pillar 2 of our work, key stakeholder engagement. So under key stakeholder engagement, what the CIAC seeks to do is to reach out to institutions and people of influence in the continent that can speak out or can issue statements on behalf of accountability mechanisms. And so far, the requests have been made to the African Judges and Jurists Forum, the Network of African National Human Rights Institutions, and draft letters have been shared with former commissioners of the African Commission and former presidents through the UNAIDS Champions Program. So I'll speak to NANRI, and then Sibo, I think, can come in with the AJJF. And then Franz, you can provide some updates on reaching out to your peers, yeah? So with NANRI, we had a meeting, and in that meeting, we introduced the CIAC and made a case as to why NHRIs need to be more visible in the campaign. And by the end of the meetings, what was agreed is there was a need to have a roundtable with the members. So that is something that I need to follow up on, because it was thought that from an NHRI perspective, the campaign is being interpreted as from a political stand. And so not all members may want to be involved, although we said that we can have a collective statements from the NHRIs that are willing. And we also, in the meeting, mentioned the fact that we would like to engage with individual NHRIs and see how they can help us to advance pillar 3 of the work. And we made an invite to the Secretariat if they can come on board as implementing members. I mean, given the scope of work that they do and the reach that they have. So we are still waiting for feedback, especially on the fact that if we're going to have a roundtable before December. And yeah, I'll keep you updated on how that goes. Although the sense that I get is that we may not get a statement, whether collectively or from individual NHRIs, because individual NHRIs which had approached, the ones that the ones that provided feedback opt to interact through the regional secretariat. Yeah. Yeah, so that's where it is with the NHRI. So we'll follow up on seeing if at all we will have a roundtable. And we also made a request to be invited to some of the regional meetings that they have, so that we can also use that space to advance the campaign. And hopefully we can also use that space to attract our individual members. So at this point, I think I invite Sibongile to speak on HJF, and then we'll finish with France. And Stefano, if there are any hands on your side, please you can let us know.
I don't have much to report. I did an introduction with you and AJJF, and they came back. I think Martin Masiga responded, and so the expectation was that you follow up with them. But I wasn't. I spoke to 3 people. I don't know. Do you remember? No. Like, was there something that was expected of me other than the introduction, that you continue the conversation with them?
Yes. So we did a follow-up, but then it went quiet. I think we wrote to Brian also, and Brian still referred us to Martin. So it's sort of
no. I think you responded to Martin, so maybe we can just go check the trail of email. You responded to Martin asking for him to respond, and I kind of wrote to you on the site to say that Martin has responded. So you were supposed to follow up to that conversation, on that conversation. I don't know if you remember. So we wrote to him and Martin didn't respond, but I think maybe you didn't see it and you wrote to him again, and then I just wrote to you on the side and I forwarded you his response. So I think it's just following up on it, because Brian also came back to us and asked if we have received a response. And we said, yes, we did. So it's just about following up with Martin. I can forward you the emails from Brian and Martin. But they were quite kind of interested, yeah, when he responded. Martin, I'll forward it to you now.
Okay. Franz, over to you.
Yes, I think my colleague Michael Nyarko, I think who's not here, but who's with me on this, has worked on a draft. So just to explain to everyone, the idea is to get some academics, to get a network of academics, to write to academics and get them to agree, if you like, on a statement. But we thought that some of the things that are now being developed in the letter, also the kind of update of 1015 and so on, maybe we can understand, is that process relatively short-lived, so that we can go ahead with this kind of statement for the academics, or should we wait or should we not? So that's kind of just, we're not so sure about the timeframes for the, let's say, the comprehensive letter that we together worked on. So that's why we haven't sent it out yet.
Yeah, so the update for 1015 is one of the next, well, it's priority work that's going to be commissioned. Are there any hands? Because that takes us to our next agenda item. Okay, no, okay, I'll just continue. So the first strategic pillar of the CIAC is around knowledge production and dissemination. And under this pillar, we try to bring the African Commission and its mandate closer to the people through various pieces of work. So currently, there was the first article which was published around the 2020 ROPs on whether it further undermines the independence of the Commission or safeguards it. And other topical suggestions that have come up is on how the African Commission works with the different entities that form the ecosystem of its context of environment. So yeah, so this is, you know, how it works with NGOs, states, NHRIs, and all of this is tied to the broader objective of the campaign. In what ways in its working with these other entities, does it safeguard or does it undermine its independence? And on the screen, there's, you know, how far has the African Commission come implementing the provision of Decision 1015? So this topic was included as a result of the August 25th meeting that we had around DECO. And yeah, like I mentioned, it's work that's going to be commissioned this month. This month is October. Yeah, so that we also are able to update our briefing papers and also to update our campaign messaging. And then the last piece is basically would be like an annual review or commentary on how, you know, the African Commission has worked. I mean, given the context of environment it operates in. So all of these pieces basically are linked to Decision 1015 on the independence of the Commission. So these topics are not cast on stone. So members, if you have any other topics that you'd wish to propose, then kindly just feel free to write to me, or if you have any ideas right now, you know, you can share them. And also just to say, as context keeps evolving, we will keep, you know, producing more of this work, yeah. So Franz, to answer your question, yeah, hopefully by end of October, if not, probably early November, we should have this piece that, you know, provides us with a snapshot of how far the Decision 1015 implementation has happened. Over to you, Stefano, or should I continue?
Yeah, I believe you can go ahead. I don't see any hand raised.
Okay, so the other thing that we are doing with to boost the online campaign, since a lot of organizing has moved online, is that we are working with Digital Girl Africa. So Digital Girl Africa is an outfit that seeks to augment the skills of young women around digital advocacy and IT skills. And we currently are based upon the discussions that we have had happening around Pillar 1, because Pillar 1 is also about highlighting the successes of the African Commission. And the works which we have commissioned with the Digital Girl Africa, the three main ones, the first one is they're doing an animation video that speaks to the mandate of the African Commission. So this is going to be a short video which will be produced in English and French. And I think last week or 2 weeks ago, there was a video shoot that already happened with IPAS Alliance. Suzanne, thank you for joining this call, around the general comment number 2. Is it number 2 or number 3? I got myself mixed up there, of the Maputo Protocol. So these short videos is so they're targeting the masses. So it's to conscientize the masses on what the African Commission does and what their impact is. And then the last video, which we are going to commission, and hopefully the shoot can happen in the second or third week of October, is on in the rights welfare community. So this is to, again, to highlight, you know, what the what the interventions of the African Commission can do on communities that have been violated. And I'd reached out to IHRDA. I don't know who's there from IHRDA. I reached out to IHRDA if they were able to put together some of the decisions that they have received from the African Commission so that we are able to narrow the scope to Francophone countries, because so far with IPAS and the ROIS, these are all from Anglophone countries. And also if there are any other members that have contributed to some of the processes of the African Commission. CHR, I know you have done a lot of work. I don't know if there's any of your work that you feel can be highlighted using these short videos. So if there's, I don't know if Edmond is on the line.
Dio is asking for the floor.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Dio.
Yes, thank you so much. Edmund, I think, has been working on that, and I know we've done something here about some of the cases that have been decided in favor of IHRDA, and I believe Edmund should share that very soon.
Okay, thank you. Any other members that have contributed? CHR, Isla, Halu.
I believe Faye may have a comment.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Stefano. Thanks a lot. You know, Mari, I don't. Sometimes I struggle to articulate some of the issues many of us are facing within the African human rights system. Now, listen. I have said it many times, and Sibo knows this. And you yourself, and many of us listening here right now, all of us are experts within the African human rights system. We know it backwards. And when I was promotion officer at the African Commission, apart from doing the legal work, whenever I travel from Egypt to South Africa, from Dakar to Eritrea, I am struck about the ignorance of the African people, and it pained me. It pained me very seriously that we are doing all of this fantastic work, even at the AUC Commission. Many of them very hardworking colleagues, but no one knows what we are doing. And it pained me. And we came up with a lot of proposals, which we sent to the AUC Commission by then. And by then, the Commissioner, Madam Joyner, we sent a comprehensive note to her. Listen, one of the things which I have always said, if we want to approach the African people, to tell them what we are doing, to articulate the successes, the failures, the challenges at all levels, what the Commission is facing, or any other organ for that matter, we need another approach, plus what all of us are doing right now. And that approach is education. Right now, what we are doing at AU Watch is that we are writing curriculum and syllabuses for the African human rights system that should be studied right from primary school. So I am hoping that CIAC is such a wonderful initiative that we can campaign, we can present it to our state masters and say, listen, is it possible that right from primary school, secondary school, tertiary education, children, students, adults can learn about the African human rights system and about the AU organs or AU at the regional bodies, generally speaking. And one of the things which AU Watch is trying to do is to produce short videos. I mean, at my time as promotion officer for the African Commission, I had connections with, I don't know, half of the member states, their television stations, their radio stations. I knew many of them. And because one of the things I did, as I'm traveling along on promotion or protection missions, I make sure that I take the addresses and familiarize myself with the journalistic terrain within that country. So we have connections with many of these organizations by then. Of course, things are dynamic and they've moved on. But all of these videos, when they are produced, we send them to these journalistic organizations for them to be screened locally. And so people get to know what we are doing and how we are doing it and all of these challenges. So even with what you're saying, it's a fantastic initiative, fantastic idea. And that is what at AU Watch, and I keep telling my colleagues, we produce all these short, we have to produce all these short videos and liaise with all these member states, radio stations, television stations. As a matter of fact, one of the things which I'm doing right now in Sierra Leone is that to say, can AU Watch have kind of a 15-minute slots in one of the major television stations to explain the work of AU Watch and also to explain the African human rights system. Maybe by next week or the week after, I'll be able to have an MOU with them. Without that, we will have success, but we will struggle. So that is my, I think when these videos are produced, we must ensure that we have a system wherein they are disseminated within local journalistic population so they can be aired and shared within local population. Thanks.
Hey, thank you for those comments. I think I would also want to loop you into this conversation and see from the work that you're doing, if there's anything that we can do jointly also. And also, you know, as you're producing your work, I guess we can be sharing with each other as we continue going forward. And I've also made a note of media involvement. I think that is some area which we need to explore also as the CIAC. And yeah, I'll have some thinking around it. And hopefully I'll be able to present it the next time that we meet. So with that, I mean, that was the last agenda item that I had.
May I make a comment? I cannot raise
my hand.
Sorry. Just on the line of what Faye was saying, I really think that, and this is something that I was also sharing with Sibongile, I really think that, I mean, not talking about the project that AU Watch has, which is much more comprehensive, but I really feel that we need to think how we engage with different tools, and definitely communication is one, and this campaign and this video are key, as well as through our networks, our colleagues, because I have the same feeling of what Faye was saying about at the end of the day, we are like, we want to have, in order to be an effective campaign, we need to be able to carry along a much broader group of organizations as members, and somehow we are among sort of like a team of people who tend to be part of that conversation, of the system. So we really need to. I would hope that in CIAC we may have dozens of organizations from each country, so it becomes really like a larger movement, I would say. And I'm not good at I don't have a solution, but I just think that what would make us even more impactful in the work we are doing.
So we have the French website is up and running, and can I type the address? So if you go to the main website, let me just pull it up quickly. Can you see my screen?
I can see still the tool, the African Commission.
Okay. Let me do let me share. Yeah, here. Share. Yeah, so this is the main website that we have. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes. ACHPRindependence.org. So we have the French website. So you come to the English language and hit on French, and then you get the French website. So part of, so we need to popularize the French website, and I think Stefano alluded to it. If we're to attract, you know, more diverse membership, then we need to reach out to them. So sometime tomorrow or Friday, we're going to have conversations with Digital Girl Africa on how to increase our visibility online, even in terms of how we share messages. Because, okay, I am big, okay, not I'm beginning, I have been falling behind in terms of the online visibility and, you know, managing the social media pages. I mean, given that, you know, the work is growing, so it's one of the areas which is slowly suffering, although with digital data, our online visibility is not, doesn't suffer. And some of, I mean, one way of going about it is we need to push out more content out there, because I was just checking the statistics in terms of which of our posts have greater interaction online. So basically we need to put out content, and some of the ideas that we are looking at is also around using infographics to share, you know, key information around the commission and also around the campaign. And the other thing which I've noted that Faye alluded to is around how to ensure that we get this information to entities that are outside the human rights circle. Yeah, so that is something also which we will discuss, because the people who the CIAC accounts are following, or the people who are following us, still are within the human rights community. So it's still us speaking to each other, but the idea of Pillar 1 is to moving beyond us speaking to each other. So that is some of the, yeah, those are some of the strategies that we are looking to have implemented with Digital Girl Africa through the residency program. So, you know, whether it's podcasts, whether it's infographics, more videos, so the videos can keep coming. And also, like I mentioned, any work that has been done around supporting the Commission development of some of the soft laws that they have will help us to increase the visibility online. Yeah. Okay, so with that, I would like to stop there and just open it up for.
There is a comment from Ilse on the chat. Can you see it?
Let me go to the charts. Oh, okay. I have missed quite a lot of charts. Yes, I see Issa. Oh, yes. So Issa is saying that once this meeting is concluded, they can show us illustrations that they have made that Digital Girl Africa will be using to report the communicative value of engaging with artists and information as a transformative tool. Let me go back up. Oh, there's a comment from Barbara here about using gender neutral words. Avoid saying guys, instead say folks of people. Yeah, so the membership of CIAC is quite diverse. We have ITJC people also amongst us. So it's just to raise consciousness about that. And then Sibo says that information about states that are engaged is helpful because maybe they can be persuaded to move from passive to friendly. Okay, so this is in regards to the tool which we had spoken about earlier, and how, you know, how we can use it. So are there any AOBs, any agenda items? I don't see any in the chat box. Okay, Stefano,
I believe that Ilse Ilse, are you proposing to show us the illustration now, right?
Oh, it's now. Okay.
That's what I understand. But
okay, let me stop my screen share then so that I can.
I cannot, yeah, because Ilse, can you confirm? Okay, yeah, she's proposing to show it now.
Okay, let me stop my share so that I can allow her to share hers. Stefano, are you able to unmute her?
No, that she cannot. You know, she has the problem with the audio.
Okay.
She can only. That's the problem.
Oh, so she's been drawing as we are talking. That looks like Dieudonné there.
Is it me over there?
It looks like you.
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wish I could have it.
Yeah, so that is part of how we are looking to achieve inclusivity, you know, in the work, just to ensure that we are mentoring young women and girls in whatever sector that they are trying to grow in. So if you didn't have your video on, probably you don't have a drawing of yourself. Okay. Thank you, Isle, for that. That's really amazing. All right. Yes, they really are beautiful. Yeah, so if you didn't have your video, as we said at the start, it's your loss. Anyways, thank you everybody for finding time to join this meeting, and we are extremely grateful for the non-members who have been able to join us. We hope that you sort of got a glimpse into what we are trying to attain as the CIAC, and has given you more appetite to submit your forms quickly. We'll be happy to grow this family so that we're able to reach out to more entities, you know, to widen the campaign. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and every time we have these meetings, yes, I go back to a full desk. So thank you, everyone, the members who've been quite supportive, who are tolerant of my many emails and questions. I thank you very much. And the last thing I forgot to mention, which is on the agenda item, the webinars that we have, Digital Girl Africa is also going to do some sort of a write-up, which we can share on our social media pages, and also share the videos through YouTube. And if there are any other topics which we feel that we can host webinars around, kindly please share those. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. And hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.